Is Eternal Strands worth our time? We're about to find out. Welcome everyone to episode 217 of 1 Hour 1 Decision, 1H1D. I'm Chris.
And I'm Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, Tom, can Strands really go on forever?
Not if they're like Fate or Your Life or something. You know, you've got people cutting those.
Perhaps, but it is part of maybe that extended loom of life.
I guess when you weave them all together, they are eternal.
There you go. So we are talking about Eternal Strands, developed by Yellow Brick Games.
Follow
that yellow brick. And we're following it into the release date of January 2025. I forgot to put where this was. This is definitely on the PC and the Xbox. That's what I'm pretty sure it was on the PlayStation consoles as well. I did play this on the PC, and it was 18.19 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Only slightly smaller on the Series S, 17.87 gigabytes.
Oh, all right. That's not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, pretty close in size, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of game is this?
I have third-person action adventure.
Yep, I said the same thing. I just added game at the end of it, but it is third-person action adventure for sure. For sure.
There's nothing wrong with a third-person action adventure game.
No, not at all.
They have made many in our lifetime.
Some have done well. Some have fallen flat in their face, and I guess we'll talk about if this does fall flat or not. But what is that game loop?
Okay, so I have engage with a narrative adventure through cutscenes, dialogue trees, and magic-infused combat.
Ooh, okay. I wrote, navigate your way to waypoints while surviving.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that you have to survive, for sure. And now, let's get into this likes in our game of Eternal Strands.
I've got to say, I very much enjoyed that animated cutscene at the beginning. It reminds me of watching a cartoon like Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like that.
Yeah.
Something about the animation style I was like, I'm into this.
Yeah. It was very like it had like almost an anime style to it, but yeah, like the I guess Americanized style of anime.
Yes. It's like is it an anime if it's from America? I don't know.
Guess but not. A manime? I don't know. A marime? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I agree. That was I was surprised by that. I don't know where the budget was with this game and things like that. So I was expecting maybe some images here and there and kind of that was pretty cool to see that happen. And it really got you right into the game, right? Like into the world.
It jumps you right in. I'll say that I think it lends itself to the art style of the game. The game has a definitive art style. Yeah. I think it looks good. I think it will continue to look good into the future, right? Pick a style and you're never wrong.
Yeah.
I think it was cool that it wasn't just that one cutscene. Like that animation comes back again later. Yeah. I think a lot of the times you have one of those sorts of things and then that's it. Like, it's like, okay, we made this cool little video and you're never going to see this art style again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been games that we've played throughout our time here where they just did that, where they just kind of give you this cool teaser of something really cool, like of a potential, and then falls flat in his face, kind of thing. So unfortunate. But look, on top of like you mentioned the art style and things like that, I think the world seems pretty interesting. Like you're kind of thrust into this world where I guess magic is it banned, or is it like the magic people have kind of surrounded themselves and they've kind of isolated themselves from the rest of the world and no one's known anything. And it's like it's essentially you are part of a party of these like magic followers, and you're not supposed to be like, it's illegal to do that stuff. And you kind of are trying to make your way towards this isolated city for reasons
So to give a little bit more add on to what Chris is saying, like I think the thrust of it is that Magic users have a bad reputation because some bad event happened in the past and the world blames it on Magic. So to run around using Magic is to be shunned, and your party is a group of people who are like, oh, we've gotten a bad rap and we're going to go get to the bottom of this and kind of prove that Magic use is not a bad thing.
Right.
But in order to do that, we have to go to this closed off land where this cataclysmic event happened.
Yeah.
And get to the bottom of it. So,
interesting premise and interesting character designs too. Like you're not just all like elf looking people. There's like, I think the leader of this group is like this hawk-ish looking lady. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. And like, you've got like a bear with tusks coming out of it and things like that. So it was like, okay. And I think there's even like maybe like a demon or dark elf guy who's like your wizard, not wizard, but like, the guy who's like the tinkerer in the bunch. So I don't know. There's obviously some relationships in between all of these characters. So you kind of just dropped into this world and into this party, and you figure it out as you go.
I agree with you 100%. I think I put the mix of characters as entertaining. The voice acting is good.
Yeah.
So watching the characters interact with you is interesting, or interact with each other. It really does kind of drop you into it, but not in a way where I felt like lost or confused.
Yeah.
Like it was like you're kind of joining in the middle, but like in a way where the game teaches you how to play, right? Yep. Which is, I love whenever a game is done that way. And it's integrated with the story where it's like, okay, you need to use the magic now because of XYZ. So like they do a good job of not only teaching you mechanically how to play the game, but also like the lore of the game, all kind of, intertwined.
Yeah. And they did it in a clever way for sure, because like your character is like has their opportunity now to take point, as they call it. So it's like, okay, cool. So prove that you're able to take point. So it's like you're learning new mechanics and things like that, because it's like, oh, here you go. Here's your new comms link or whatever it is. And like, this is now we're going to have to make sure we can communicate with each other and all this other stuff. So it's like, I was like, oh, okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that they were kind of weaving the tutorial through that. And man, what a tutorial, because then there is a giant ass dragon in this game.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was something. And, I had no idea what to expect with this game, but, what I thought was really cool though, I thought traversal was really cool because you can climb literally anything.
Yeah, it was very strange for this kind of game.
Right. Like you can climb everything, and and as you're like learning the magic, and like things I noticed are like destructible. Like pretty much anything you can hit can break. And I thought that was really like, obviously there are things that might be a little too hard for whatever your particular weapon is and things like that. But it was like, that was kind of cool that the world can just kind of deform. And I was really surprised by that.
The game is really interesting in that you can stack powers.
Yeah.
So like you can make ice, right? Like there's fire around and you want to use ice to put out the fire. Okay, that makes some kind of obvious sense.
Yeah.
But then you also have these like push and pull, like telekinetic force powers.
Yeah.
And you could pick up the ice that you just made and then throw it with your telekinetic powers. So, and this is just in the first hour of the game, right?
Yeah.
So you know that there's going to be other things that are going to happen. And I'm really curious how those things are going to interact,
Yeah. I mean, like even the fact that, when you do start a fire, it doesn't just stay kind of isolated. It starts to spread. I was like, wait, what? Like all these little, like, that was really cool that it did that. And like, as you wait, the ice starts to melt and you hear like the pop and fizz of that as it starts to like decay. I was like, whoa, they took a lot of time to think about all these systems, how they interact with each other. So I was definitely, I really appreciated that. And I echo what you're saying about the magic powers. You only get 2 of them right now. Like you said, I'm sure there's a bunch more that you get later on. But like, yeah, the be able to lift things and throw them was really cool. It felt pretty satisfying to do that.
Yeah.
And and freezing things made me feel like Iceman, little Bobby Drake here, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, and apparently you can use it to like kind of ride the wave too if you really wanted to, which I thought was cool. But I guess there's the pun in there, but yeah, yeah. So that I really appreciate that. It was actually good. And there's a parry mechanic in here, and it feels pretty dang good when you land that. So yes, there is combat in this game, and you fight a variety of different creatures and things in the world, which I was surprised about. Like we talked about the dragon, but there's there's wolves or like kind of wolf-like creatures that you deal with. And then there's like variations of those wolves that I saw. And then there's this like weird chameleon thing. I was like, what the heck is hitting me? And it was literally like, you can't see it. It was just like, you could see kind of like the little aura around it. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it was definitely challenging. The combat was challenging for sure.
Yeah. I think it just presentation, execution, really solid, across the board, and done with with an art style that, really brings it home in terms of what they're trying to communicate.
Right. Absolutely.
I did also have something that I love to see, but we don't see very often, where all of the loading was hidden by these cutscenes. So yes, the game is doing a fair number of cutscenes, and maybe we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the execution, it's like, well, I know that I need to load the next level, right? Yeah. I'm the game designer, and I know that I need to load the next level. Do I make my player wait at some loading screen, or do I do some exposition? And while the exposition's happening, I'm loading the thing in the background.
Yeah.
Do that second one every time, because then I never feel like I'm waiting for the game.
Yeah, agreed. It does feel nice to, especially as you and I talked about right now, like there's a lot of dialogue. There is a lot of dialogue you kind of go through. So why not, if you're just kind of going through static pages or whatnot, why not like give the game an opportunity to load the assets that are needed to be for the next session? So yeah. Good on them. Good on Yellow Brick for doing that. So, all right. Shall we head to our dislikes then, Tom?
Yeah. So there is a whole lot of exposition in this first hour.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'll concede that a fair amount of it is kind of optional. Like there's the stuff you have to listen to.
Yeah.
And then there's the stuff that you could choose to listen to.
Right.
But I think it's a lot.
It is. It's a lot.
It's a lot of world building in that first hour.
Yeah. Although I will say they do a better job of it overall than like, say, some of the other games that we've played in the past, where it was just I felt like, yes, there was exposition, but I felt like I didn't get, my hour wasn't completely wasted on exposition, if that makes sense.
I think to their credit, they do a good job of integrating exposition with the platforming, with you navigating through the levels. So while you're constantly getting information that, during this first hour, you are playing the game during most of it, or at least half of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed that you and I both had this in our notes here about the way that this game does its exposition. And it is a little confusing because, like you mentioned, there are animated cutscenes, but then there are still images where they kind of go through conversations that way. And then there's in-game engine like cutscenes, fully animated cutscenes.
Just pick a lane.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes me like, why even bother? Like, I appreciated the animated cutscenes, but it was just like, if you did an in-game cutscene, then just stick with that. Yeah, just do that.
Do in-game cutscenes
because the game looks great. The game looks great as is, like with that in-game engine. So it's like, I don't know. Like, was it that they were able to ship off that kind of work to other people? And so I don't know. And then like the still images ones. It was like I felt like those were kind of thrown in last minute. They're just like, okay, we can't just we need more dialogue, but we don't have the time to animate this, or we don't have the time to rig the models or something. I don't know. It was weird because like I don't know if you notice it, but like with certain images, they just flip them. So like your the Falcon or the Falcon character, she injures her arm, and in the first cutscene where she first still image cutscene dialogue track or whatever, she's on the left side of the screen and her arm is in the bandage, and then there's another tree that happens where she's on the right side, but they just literally flip the image.
No.
So it's just like, oh, okay.
She broke a different arm.
Yeah. It's like, how is that possible? She didn't break both arms. It's like, whatever. But yeah, so that's my only theory on that, is that they were probably rushed to do this, like these particular pieces of dialogue. So they're just like, let's get this done.
It seems weird because why couldn't they just use the in-game models?
Yeah.
And just do, I don't know. It's weird to have this 3 different streams of, and they are like similar, like they're all aiming for the same art style, but because they're in 3 different flavors, there's kind of no way that they're going to look exactly the same.
Right. Look, I'll be honest. I liked how the game looked in game more than the animated version. Like the animated was cool, but like the in game was just like there was so many details that the animation just missed from the characters that you're like, oh wow, okay, they look really good. The character designs are really good, and that's just kind of not there in the animation. But like I would have been okay with them even just having the 3D image, but like, in like doing an idle animation and like just the dialogue.
The kind of way that you'd expect from a lot of third-person action games,
right.
Where they just gotta aim the camera at the character that's talking and then drop the text underneath.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's a shame. What else is a shame? I thought the combat, while it was cool, like with the whole destructible environments, the climbing, and kind of the creativity that you can have with combat. It's still there was something off about it, and I don't know if you felt that.
I did. I have controls in general aren't that intuitive in combat. I think aiming the ice magic was kind of tricky. Like
it was.
I was trying to like lay down a path through the fire, but I kept building up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to make stairs. I just want to make an ice path that I can walk on so I don't get burned.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely confusing. I mean, I enjoyed when I was able to like freeze enemies in those like little ice walls. But yeah, like it was, I felt like I was finding the controls a bit where I'm like, I want to get them here, like, or like seal them in this way. And it just didn't feel right. And then, with that, you're not only battling the controls, but you're battling, I feel like, the camera at times, because I think especially when you're aiming, you're relying on that camera control, right? So it was a challenge for sure. And I also thought that the tasks felt kind of vague. Like your objectives were just like, go into this world and do this. It's like, okay, but where am I going? Like, now that I'm thinking about it more, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just because like they don't really know where they're going, so it's just like you kind of have to aimlessly like wander and see where you're supposed to go. But I guess this is like the same kind of tiff I have with like the Zelda games, where it's like you kind of have to like, just figure it out. You'll find it somewhere in this world. I'm like, but you just give me like a waypoint, an arrow. Like it would have been nice, but that was just one of the things I was a little frustrated about. What about you, Tom?
A little bit more of a gripe with the combat. So they give you a bow and arrow kind of setup.
Yes.
But I just get left feeling like, why? Like, it's like, okay, they gave me a bow and arrow. I could shoot from a distance. But when you can pick up rocks and throw rocks and they do way more damage, or you can blast things, throw a bomb, or, shoot, you drop ice and then throw a hunk of ice. Like, it just felt unnecessary. Like, it was not an effective option. And so it's like, okay, that if you're going to give me not an effective option, start with the ineffective option and then teach me how some other option is better. But don't give me like some way to do combat that's inferior to the thing I've already been doing.
Yeah, agreed. It was, I think the only time I really used the bow and arrow was in the tutorial when they told you to. And that was about it. I was like, all right, I've seen what it does here. Thanks. Moving on. Even like switching between them, like between the sword and shield and the bow and arrow was a little, I don't know, kind of unwieldy or whatever too. So
I to be fair, you've got a lot going on with the magic and the other, forms of combat. So like how much stuff can you really stack on the same controls? True. Like at a certain point, you're getting in your own way.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me, just unless something happens way later on where the bow and arrow gets a serious upgrade or something, it just seems like completely unnecessary.
Why? Yeah. I mean, unless there are things that you just cannot lift and throw in certain situations.
But at that point, why not just make a hunk of ice and throw your own hunk of ice?
That's true. Yep, you're right. Forget about that too. Oh, well. All right. Anything else here, Tom? You got? I got some couple.
My last item is that you are reliant on autosave. You can only manual save back at the base camp.
Yes.
Which means that if you're in the middle of a mission, you have to kind of wander around till the game gives you a little icon, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I can quit.
Got it. Yeah, that's true. That was definitely something that was frustrating near the end of my hour. I was like, wait, did I save yet? Can I save yet? What am I doing here? I'm in a mission. No. Okay. But the other thing that I thought was a bit frustrating is the invisible walls, especially when you can climb things and then like all of a sudden they just throw up walls like, no, you can't go there. It's like, wait, what? Why not? And it's like, just because it's not part of the game right now.
Because we said so.
Yeah. Yellowbrook said, we're putting up a brick wall here instead. Unfortunate. I thought that the game overall was kind of hard. I died a lot of times.
Yeah,
I died too. I had to crank it down. I had to crank the difficulty down to easy.
Wow.
Because I was like, I'm never going to be able to finish this game in normal because it was tough. It was a tough game. Like, especially like those chameleon things, like they're relentless. They're like they just with their poison and stuff like that, and then you don't get as many of the potions that are around. So you're just like, I'm like at like 20% health, and I'm just dying for a potion, and never made it. So it was unfortunate for me. But all right. If that's that, then let's get to our other thoughts then. Yeah. How long to beat says this game takes about 17 to 27 hours to complete.
Okay.
Reasonable amount of time, dedication to do that.
Yeah.
And this does have Xbox Cloud saves and you can play anywhere. So you should be able to play this remotely on xCloud. Good stuff. What you got there, Tom?
Okay. So there are 9 oversized bosses in the game.
Okay.
And defeating each one grants you a new magical power.
Oh.
So in my brain, they didn't reference this, but to me, it sounds a whole lot like Mega Man.
It sure does.
Beat the boss, absorb their power, then use that power against other bosses.
Yeah.
I like it. The developers say the gameplay was inspired by Shadow of the Colossus.
Uh-huh.
Also referenced Dragon's Dogma, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And the art style was apparently inspired by the European visual novels, which I guess is what we see in those text, cutscene things. It's very visual novel.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe if that's true, perhaps they started there, and then as they got more time or resources, they're like, hey, let's do some in-game cutscenes. Hey, let's do some animated cutscenes, But they couldn't do the whole game that way, so,
What a shame.
The game is built on Unreal Engine 5, and their objective was to make the player feel like a fantasy superhero.
Oh.
Which I guess I can kind of see. Telekinesis is an X-Men power, right?
Yeah.
Creating ice is...
Creating ice. 100% X-Men power right there. Yeah.
This is the debut title for Yellow Brick, but the lead developers made Dragon Age Origins. So they do have some...
that dragon
history.
looked very familiar. I must say, like the dragon, like the art style for that dragon looked very familiar. I was like, okay. I see where you're going there. Yellow Brick.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Tom. So we need to find out. Are we keeping this game on our respective hard drives, or are we telekinesis powering this out of our existence?
Why don't you go first, Chris?
Okay, cool. So I will say that the mechanics and the way that you interact with the world was really cool. The characters and the environments itself were very lush and vivid, and but some of it just felt kind of weird. Like I was talking about the combat, and it was a challenging game. But, I'm going to give this a few more hours. Hesitant. I will give it a few hours on easy, but only after I finish it out. Only after I finish that.
That's fair. So I'll say that while there is a whole lot of exposition, and I really can't stress enough that, like, if you don't want a story narrative based game, this would be a mistake.
Yeah.
The truth is that I personally kept hitting the buttons to hear more of this lore. So, I'm going up to the random characters and I'm like, oh, you've got a little exclamation point over your head. Please tell me everything you have to tell me.
Okay.
So I did it to myself is the way that I look at it. And now knowing the influences and the pedigree of the people who are here and that they've clearly referenced some of my favorite games. Like I love Shadow of the Colossus. I love Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Origins is one of my favorite games as well. So I think I owe it to myself to keep going with this. So I intend to.
Very nice. Very nice. Good to know. All right. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you guys think of this game and follow us and say hello on Blue Sky at 1H1D, Twitter at TC1H1D, Threads at TC1H1D, or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@gmail.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, send us a comment down below. Maybe you can let us know maybe give us a little hint about some of the powers that you get, the magical powers. I mean, I'm sure I could find it in a walkthrough or something too, but a nice comment about it would be nice.
Yeah, can I like throw scissors or saw blades or
that would be pretty badass actually.
Shoot lemons? I don't know.
Shoot lemons? Maybe. Get some lemon juice in the dinosaur in the dragon's eye. Yeah, that'd sting. Yeah, that'd sting. But yeah, that'd be cool. And 1H1D is part of that QTB network. And if you like any great gaming content, check it all out at quitthebuild.com/network. Now, Tom.
Yes, Chris.
We need to find out what we're playing next.
Yeah, but there's a little rumor going around that you're just going to pick it.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm going to pick this because this is a game that's been lauded all of, as this recording, all of 2024 as a potential game of the year. And it came to Game Pass. So we're going to give it a shot. And what game is that? Well, it's Balatro.
Sounds like a lot of Balatro to me.
It's something. And we're going to find out. We're going to check it out on the next episode. But thank you so much for everyone for tuning into this episode. And we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.